Well, by now you've got it fully assembled. As I mentioned before, we got to get a zip tie in each of the 3 corners on every corner. And then about every 4 or 5 inches all the way around each and every side of the live well. That's completed. Now we're going to put the hooks on that hold the doors closed. So when you're putting the hook on, have the hook around to the bottom of the opening. So you wrap that wire, open the ring, and slide the ring on, and just loop that ring like a regular key ring. Then it'll hang there. It should hang right to the bottom of the opening. When you go to close it, you simply just pull that down, and then that secures the door and the fish from leaving. So that's it on the top side, on the side. And then we have another one for you to install on the side to keep your top door open. And what I like to do is I like to install them through both of the side wires on the side of the cage. So once that's hooked, you now have your other hook for your top cage. Keeps your otters, your turtles out of the cage and your fish safe. Now we're going to move on to the pole assembly for the crank. And it's very critical that we get this right. And what it does is it provides for a nice easy flow of the cranking of the live well up and down. You've got 2 white spacers in your package and 2 washers with a 3/8 hole. So what we want to do when we're assembling that is we want to stick the crank through just a little bit. We want to put a white spacer, both of the 3/8 washers, and then the last white spacer. Once we get them in place, push the crank through and all the way through to the other side. So this assembly looks just like this, with a spacer, 2 washers, and another spacer. Once that's done, then take your pole, set it up, and take your white cap. The white cap is in every bag. Place it on top of there, and then take that hammer and tap that white cap onto the crank, and you have a nice flow. Okay? The next thing on this is we want to install the safety pin. So here's where that 3/8 drill, we have 1 drill hole, 2 holes on this side. One is for the screw to get screwed into, and the other is for the pin. These are self-tapping screws. So secure that in there, and then your pin goes all the way through the other side. And what that pin does is acts as a locking mechanism for the live well. Okay? So at this point, we'll leave it out and we'll leave it hanging. Now for the installation for the pole to the dock. Now, what we want to do is set the live well up next to it, slide our pole inside of that end sleeve, and our first hole, when you get the live well, there's a hole already pre-drilled, and that goes to the top of your dock. So when you get that figure, drill 1/4 inch hole through the top part of your dock. Put that screw in there and through the dock, and then put a nut on the back side to hold it in place. Okay? Then line it up, and depending upon how particular you are, level the pole, and then take your drill and drill that hole where it needs to be, where your bottom support bracket is on your dock. Now I'm going to put my glasses on for this so I can make sure it's level to my eye. And I'm going to drill that hole in here. second bolt through there, through both, and bolt that on. Now we get plenty of long nuts and bolts, I should say, to make sure that it goes through your entire dock. There's so many different variables that we go with a longer bolt. And here's where your 7/16 nuts come in your bolt. So screw that in. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm not using my screwdriver. Now we have that pole very secure to the dock. It's solid and it's not going to go anywhere. Some people have docks where they have tubing on the side. The main thing is to always get 2 bolts onto your pole. The last thing in the assembly process is the cable. Once you get that unwrapped, the clip into the cable securely, and then what we do is we clip this cable or the clip to the top pole on the back side of the live well. What that does is it raises and lowers the live well with the crank. So in the crank there's a hole that we need to just put that in a little bit. And then I'm backwards here, so we gotta go on keep your cable taut when you're starting the cranking process. And you're ready to catch fish. So if you have any questions about the assembly, please refer to the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us an email or a phone call.